Roll Tide.
Welcome to Fringe Element here on the 440 Sports Network, week before Media Days. My name is Braden Gall, and you can follow me on Twitter at Braden Gall. Aaron Dugan had some family stuff to deal with, so we are proud to welcome to the show, in her spot, good friend of the pod, longtime colleague and nemesis, Chris Childers, a host of Full Ride, of course, with Rick Neuheisel, SiriusXM. Childers, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on with me, man. How are you?
I am good. Thanks for having me. And please send my love to Dugan. I hope all is well. And love Dugan and hope she's going to be good. But send my love to her. But it's good to be here.
Media Days Monday here in Nashville, first time ever. It's going to be wild. And I wanted to have you in because you and I have been going to these ridiculous things for quite some time now. And I wanted to see if we could predict. Like, I want us to do the show today like it's already happened, because I think we can do it. I think you and I could do the show like all of Media Days has already happened. So rate, review, subscribe. Next week, we're going to have a lot of good stuff. Last year in Atlanta, we talked to, I know you do this for your work as well, but I had a chance to talk with like 25 different players. And so we'll have a lot of really cool stuff for you guys on the YouTube page. So make sure you check that out. We'll have lots of interviews, lots of sit downs with media members, many distinguished dignitaries such as yourself, Childers. So lots of cool stuff going on the show next week. So stay tuned for that. But I thought we'd have some fun and see how close we get to what's going to be the start of talking season next week. So number one is going to be, I'm going to ask you about, I'm going to get you to sort of take some guesses here, but I want you to start. I want to start with Kirby Smart. Last year he came in playing the hunted versus hunter card. And I actually could buy into that to some degree, because Stetson Bennett, I remember talking to him last year. He was pissed off about all the disrespect questions. The coordinator, Todd Monken, was back. They were not picked to win the SEC. Alabama was. They were not preseason number 1. They were number 3. And everybody seemed focused, and they went undefeated. I'm willing to bet you that with all the noise around the program, for whatever may or may not be accurate or exactly right or wrong, there is a lawsuit about a tragic accident with 2 people that lost their lives in a car accident. They do not have their quarterback. They do not have their coordinator. Lots of people are gone on the defense. And I'm still willing to bet you that Kirby Smart is offended by how he is being treated. The media is unfair, and they are being disrespected once again.
Yes, I think that'll happen. And I think he's going to add in a little twist of upset with everything that's been happening over the last few months. I think they just demanded a retraction from the AJC. I think he's going to defend his program vehemently. I think he's going to defend his culture vehemently. That's what I think he's going to do. He's going to walk in there pissed off. He can play the whole respect card with his team, and he will. And he'll, we have a new quarterback. We don't have leaders, blah, blah, blah. And we're all picking him number 1. So I don't know what preseason magazine he's going to get to show his players. He might have to go to Mars to go get one that has him like pick 15th or something. But he's going to, or maybe he'll write his own and look at Kirby Smart's preseason magazine says you suck, or something like that. But we all think they're great. We all think they're the favorites. Somehow he'll come in with a chip on his shoulder, but I think they're going to come in with a chip on the shoulder about the culture of the program, because of the fact that there's been the speeding issue, because of what was said in the AJC, because it's been kind of implemented here in the last couple of weeks that Kirby's got a culture problem. They're fighting back against it. I think he's going to be in a mood about it. I think when he sits down with all of us, he's going to be a little pissy because he's going to get asked about it. Bottom line is, dude, one of your players is dead. So, and you have a real problem with speeding. I mean, there's a real issue here with guys wanting to go really fast, which I don't get. Like, is the thrill of winning a national championship not enough of a high?
Well, come on. If you let's be clear, you and I started working together when we were like 24. And if we had 700 horsepower Jeeps, we would not be driving 35 miles an hour through Maryland farms. Like, and I'm not saying I'm not excusing the behavior. I'm just saying, like, testosterone fueled 18 to 22 year olds with like like Lamborghinis, that's a bad recipe. You know what I mean?
It is. So you got to fix it. Like you got to do something. Like if you're Kirby, you got to fix the problem, take the keys, do whatever you got to do. But I think that's what he's going to do. He's going to come in. Certainly he'll talk about his team and be a little chip on the shoulder. And we got something to prove this year and all the crap that we've heard a million times. And we'll all roll our eyes at him when he talks about football because we all think his roster's freakish. I mean, his defense is going to be sick this year. He's got he's got skill players for days. He's got a tight end from Jupiter. I mean, and his quarterback, let's be honest, will probably be better.
Wow, better? I don't know.
Probably.
He'll be pretty damn good, I think. I think again, that's
I'm confident he's not going to show up drunk at 6 a.m. to somebody's house. That's what I'm confident on.
Hey, what you do after the championship? I don't know. It's fair.
Do what you want, but just don't show up naked at 6 a.m. to somebody's house.
That's valid.
That's all.
Hey, that asking? You don't think that's asking too much?
Oh, he wasn't naked, was he?
I don't think he was. Clothes on? I don't think he was naked. I think he was clothed.
Yeah, I retract that. I retract my naked statement.
I can't believe you would do that. You would disparage.
Who was
good
naked?
Name.
Somebody was naked somewhere. I don't know.
Oh, that was Pat McAfee in Broad Ripple, Indianapolis, probably.
Pat McAfee's just always naked,
doing the backstroke in Indianapolis. But that
not
was
sure Pat McAfee ever has clothes on.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Certainly never had sleeves. But that was his time as a punter at West Virginia. So that's different time.
Yes.
All right. So I agree with you there. All right. Well, then how is Saban going to approach this? Because it is interesting to me that Alabama, like, I'm not writing the Alabama dynasty is dead thing. I don't think that's fair yet.
No.
But I do find it interesting that for the first time in maybe Saban's entire tenure that we just don't know where they're going to finish. They could absolutely be the team that was 2 plays away from being undefeated, and they find their guy and Tommy Rees and fill in a blank quarterback works. Or they could lose a couple of like the team that's been bad on the road, the team that has been undisciplined and taken penalties, the team that doesn't have a star quarterback right now. Maybe they lose a couple of those games and they don't win the division 2 years in a row, which is unprecedented for Nick Saban. So I do find this season to be more interesting. What is the I don't you're not allowed to say he's going to say rat poison and the dynasty is dead. We can't use that. But what's the talking point around Alabama from Nick Saban other than like the game is changing and NIL and boring like minutia?
I think that's where he's going to go.
Yeah.
I think he's going to piss and moan about where we're at. I think he's going to talk about NIL and talk about the portal and he'll make some points about college football because he always does. He always, where we're at, he's kind of father time. We can get the reference point of Nick Saban in any era or any year of college football and I think get a good gauge of where we're at right now. I think he comes in from a football perspective and it's the same old crap. I mean, I know they're not the favorite, but he's still god of college football. He's still Nick Saban. We still think he's probably a minimum 10-2, which I think that's what I think they are. I think they're a 10-2 football team. I think LSU wins the division again. That's my guess. I think their quarterback is special. Bama, if Tyler Buckner's your quarterback, Tyler Buckner sucks. Like I've watched a lot of his games to know that he is extremely limited. That guy, when you look at the SEC, I don't see he's a plug-in guy. I just don't think he's special by any stretch of the imagination. I think LSU's got somebody special. I think Georgia's got a lot of special around him. I mean, here's the fact of the matter. They were 10-2 last year with a guy that my co-host on Full Ride, Rick Neuheisel, compares to Pat Mahomes. So, and he was all over Joe Burrow and calling him Tom Brady Jr. But look, that guy was a freak. They had Will Anderson. I just don't know if Alabama's better than 10-2. But I think Saban comes in and he's Saban. I mean, what does he have to prove? He's got 7 national championships. He's going to be Mr. If you don't ask him about football, he'll get pissy.
But
he's got an agenda.
But his entire speech won't be about football.
No,
His entire opening statements
no.
at the pulpit are
But
going to
he'll
be
get mad if you ask him
yeah,
about something else
right.
because that's the way he is.
Right. And all he's going to talk about is how it'll be very Dabo-ish maybe, right? Like the game is changing and where are we going and existential crisis and what's the future of our sport like, and I don't think they should be employees, but I think they should have a union, which doesn't make any sense, of course.
No.
But I think you're right. That's what he does at his statement. I'm just curious what the media talks about. Like, so to your LSU point, what is the breakdown of votes for first place in the West? When we get
Bama's
done,
always going to get votes. I think just based on people showing up, they'll get votes. But I think LSU is going to get plenty. Maybe 50-50 on that.
That's what I think too. I think it'll be very close to 50-50.
Maybe 50-50 on that. I can't think of anybody else you'd vote for in the West. No. And do you have a feeling? I hope Jimbo walks in to media days and is just miserable. Like, just is humbled, is going to get so many questions about Petrino, which clearly means he's conceded. Like, he's no longer the grand poobah of the offense, and technically, right? Like, he's conceded. He's given the reins to Petrino. He's had this reputation for so many years about being this quarterback whisperer, and I think he's played off of it. You know, he's talked as such. He's kind of walks into a room as such. He's got this little grin on his face when he walks into a room. I wonder if the grin's gone. I wonder if he's just going to come in and people are going to berate him about how he's not good enough for the job. And I don't know.
I think he comes in totally because so I don't know if it's humbled or not. I think he comes in
much still all pissy and stuff.
I think it's much like Kirby.
Salty.
Yes. I mean, you've been around Jimbo enough. I've been around Jimbo enough. He's very like, he's very cocksure and I think, and he likes to talk a lot. So he's just going to keep going. What I think is interesting, and this is not a prediction about next week, but I think it's a prediction about the season. What I find fascinating about the Petrino dynamic is that no matter what happens, Jimbo Fisher doesn't really win. Because if they're really good,
I agree.
Then Petrino gets all the credit. And if they're really bad, then Fisher gets blamed for not having fixed the offense with Petrino and taking a huge risk on Petrino. So like I think I'll be curious how he acts if he knows that that's really how people are viewing it. Like if that's how he sees it, or if he's just like, no. We got DJ Durkin, no problems at Maryland. Steve Addazio, no problems at Colorado State. We've got Bobby Petrino, no problems at Arkansas. Jimbo Fisher, no problems ever. And it's like the most volatile coaching staff in the world.
It's like the land of misfit toys. I mean, it's
that
bizarre. It's bizarro land. I mean, you have Bobby Petrino's. You know what? He's a really good
coach.
He's a really good coach, but I need to get the image in my office. Like, you know how right now you see some things behind me? Next time I do a Zoom interview, I just want a massive framed picture of him at the podium with the neck brace. With the neck brace.
Why would you want to put the man at his worst possible moment up on your wall, Childers?
I don't know, but have you heard? I don't want to get into it on the podcast.
I don't either.
But you've heard about that stuff, right?
Allegedly.
Yeah.
David Ubben did a great job doing a lot of reporting on this. So
yeah,
I think there's I think the story is fairly fleshed out. I'm not going to buy into your conspiracies.
Neuheisel's told me a lot of stuff about.
Well, Neuheisel says a lot of shit.
He does, but he knows things. He's
also another man who likes to hear himself talk.
He loves it. I don't mind it. It makes my job easier because I can just kind of space out and look at my phone and stuff.
Also ironic coming from me. So anyway, let's what about the teams that sort of like. So I don't know what I don't know what Brian Kelly's. Is Brian Kelly come in there sort of like, I told you so? Like, is that how Brian Kelly comes in? Because otherwise I think if the smart play for Brian Kelly is to come in and say nothing.
Yeah, I just think he comes in and says, we're excited about the progress that we made a year ago. We're ahead of schedule. I think, you can use we're ahead of schedule. We showed good. I love my quarterback, Daniels. I don't think he comes in and talks any kind of shit. I mean, I don't think he comes in and says, we're the favorite. Look at how good we are. We won the West. I think he just comes in and says, we had a good year and we're getting better. You know, Brian Kelly's been around long enough to know how to, coach speak the hell out of this thing. And I think that's what he's going to do. You never want to piss off Saban. You never want to be the one that's, talking trash and being the guy calling anybody out and getting on the bulletin boards. He's been around long enough to know how to play this thing. I just think he comes in and says, we had a good year. We like where we're at. We think we've done a nice job building depth in the transfer portal. Yada, 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 yada. Yada, yada, yada. And that's what we're going to get.
Here's what I want, though, dude. I want Brian Kelly to step to the podium, and instead of having anything to say as an opening, remarks or whatever, I just want him to say, does anyone have any questions about fit? And just stop. And just stop.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be just absolutely sheer internet gold?
I wish you would get up there and be like, so good to be here with all my family. And then just like.
I mean, he told me a story last year about how he had never caught a fish before.
Yeah.
And like, that's the thing that people were talking about. And I'm like, yeah, nobody's talking about that now.
Non-Bayou is anybody in the world, but who cares if you're a good football coach and you know how to play this game?
Neither was Saban, frankly. So then here's who I think does come in chest puffed way out, and will do it in a very creative and fun and interesting way. I don't know how he's going to take a shot at Mark Stoops, but I bet you he takes a major shot at Mark Stoops. Shane Beamer is going to do something interesting.
Beamer's an interesting guy. He's like, I want to call him Skippy. Like, he reminds me, I don't know why, but he reminds me of Michael J. Fox. I can't stop coughing.
You okay there, big guy? You're good. We can edit it out. It's fine. It's staying in the video for YouTube, but just so people can see how much you're suffering right now. But
all right, hold on.
We'll edit it out of the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
You do need a vacation.
I know we're going tonight. Hold on. Oh, fuck. All right, ready. What was I talking about? Shane Beamer?
3, 2, 1, Skippy.
He reminds me of Michael J. Fox's friends on that show, Growing Pains or whatever it was, or Family Ties. Family Ties. He's just like, like a guy. Like, you wouldn't walk down the street and think like that guy is the CEO of a major football program. He's just Shane Beamer. You want to pinch his cheeks. He's just like, he's like your best friend's little brother. But the guy beat Clemson last year, and he beat Tennessee. I saw him at the SEC championship game. He was walking around the fanfare, and I said something to him. And the only reason I said something to him is because I know his mom. His mom, Cheryl. She's listens to Full Ride, and I met her at the Rose Bowl one time, and she was all excited to meet Rick and blah. So anyway, I know that she knows who we are. And I said something and she came on the show like the day before.
Right.
She was on to talk about how proud she was of Shane and, blah, 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 blah. So we thought it was kind of fun.
She was pinching his cheeks.
Exactly. She was doing the cheek pinch. And so I said something to Shane about it the next day, and he was Skippy. He's just like, he's just big energy and kind of bopping around and, oh yeah, mom loves you. But like, he's refreshing to me. Like, he's the kind of guy. I love coaches that aren't just complete and utter puds.
Yeah. Like,
there's guys that are just wonderful at what they do. And then like, as human beings, they just kind of suck. They just kind of suck.
Well, they're hard. I mean, they're hard to be around because they can't take it less seriously.
Yeah, and we've talked about a few of them.
Oh, we know already. Well, and I would say 2/3 of all of college football is like that.
But he's not.
No,
he's a decent human being, and when we got decent human beings that can win and break the mold, I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
And I think, again, he did the whole I don't give a shit about the TikTok stuff, but it was funny because then Stoops took a shot at it, and then he goes up there and beats Stoops, and then he takes another shot at him. So I just think there's going to be a shot taken. Maybe what would be even better if he takes a shot, like a subtweet at Dabo. That'd be really great. If he does something towards Dabo. I don't think he will, because I don't think he wants to poke that beast. But he
should just wear a Clemson sucks t-shirt. Just get up there and like Kasanke won't care. It's got nothing to do with the SEC.
No.
This Clemson sucks.
Yeah. But here's so I'm gonna keep on the line that you're taking us here, which is the real people. And I do think there's intrigue here with this particular program because we've said it on the show before. If there is a team that disappoints, because everyone's too happy right now with their team, so somebody's going to be super disappointed at the end of the year, and I don't know who it is. And I'm not saying it's going to be this team, but it's possible. And some of it, I think he kind of brings on himself because he is so transparent and sort of just takes ownership of everything. So I am curious how much of last year Sam Pittman puts on himself, because Arkansas is in a pretty critical season for Sam Pittman. I think they're going to be good, but he always is just such a regular guy about like, hey, that was my fault. I did this wrong. I hired the wrong guy. I put the wrong player out there. We did this wrong. I wasn't talking loud enough. I had the music too loud. Like he's always, every time I've talked to him, he just keeps taking the blame. And I love that. It's refreshing and transparent and interesting because he's just a good guy. But I don't know if that serves him well in this particular season. So I don't know. I'll be interested to see how grounded Sam Pittman is next week.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's the kind of guy where his personality, if things got bad, would like buy him a year. You know, would buy him maybe a little bit more time to get it fixed because everybody loves him.
Yeah.
The guy's got a hog statue in his backyard. I mean, he's living this Arkansas thing. The problem is he became a victim of his own expectations. This guy, the weird thing was, if you remember the reality of it, they won 3 games that COVID year, and we acted like they won the SEC championship because it was so miraculous after how bad they were the year before. I mean, they were getting blown out at home on homecoming by Western Kentucky University. That was the reality of Arkansas. They were crap. And Pittman comes in, wins 3 games. We treat him like he's God. Soon thereafter, he wins 9. And, you know, now we're really, oh my God, you know, to me, Arkansas being kind of an average 6-7 win team is kind of reality. I mean, look at their division. You're in a division with Alabama. You're in a division with LSU. You're in a division with Auburn. I mean, just like naturally, you're middle of the pack and maybe lower of the pack, if we're being honest, just based on who you are, the resources, all that. So I think Sam Pittman only knows one gear. I think he knows how to be himself. He's not a politician. I think a lot of these guys are politicians. They could easily transition into Congress. Look at Tommy Tuberville.
I was going to say old Tube Steak's not doing
Look at Tuberville. I found it hilarious. I was watching
oh God,
CNN last night, and Caitlin Collins has a show now, and Caitlin is a Alabama
huge
graduate.
Bama fan. Yeah, huge Bama fan. Yeah.
And she had Tubbs on, and I found some beautiful irony in her interviewing Tubbs.
So are you saying that Tommy is now 7-4 against Alabama?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
He took an extra L.
He took an extra L yesterday.
Old Tommy Tube Steak.
Old Tommy.
Still underachieving. I don't want to talk about that shit. But it's so frustrating. By the way, here's a I don't know.
Pittman only knows one gear. He only knows how to be himself.
You know what? This just hit me because I think it's fascinating, and I'll try to ask people about it, but I'm willing to bet you no one has an answer. But I guarantee you sports washing is not far from college football. And I guarantee if you're Missouri and you're Eli Drinkowitz and someone gives you $1 billion, do you care if it's blood money or not? I bet you they don't. Missouri fans don't. South Carolina fans, you're telling me you wouldn't take $1 billion to fill your collective with 5 stars and compete with Georgia and Bama and A&M and Florida? We are not far away from that. And no one's going to talk about it next week, but maybe I'll just be the one who forces the conversation.
You should.
This is Braden Gall at 440. Would you take $1 billion in Saudi blood money to recruit better players?
What if they just come over here and buy a conference? What if that's George Kliavkoff's announcement?
That's Pac-12. That's what they need. I've said it for months. Yeah. What conference needs money more and stability more? And again, this is off topic, but the Saudis don't want ROI. They don't care about it being a good business decision. They just want Americans to like them. Yeah. And you're telling me Oregon State wouldn't love, or Arizona State, or Colorado? Deion Sanders would take that money in 2 seconds.
Could you imagine?
2 seconds.
Just imagine.
All right. Okay. We're off topic.
And like Cristiano Ronaldo shows up at the first game. Like Like, oh my God.
Cristiano Ronaldo's like, where's
Yeah.
Corvallis?
What a scene. Imagine.
Why am I in Pullman? What are we
He
doing?
shows up in a helicopter in Pullman. He thinks he's in Mars.
Kind of does. It's got some Mars vibes out
Yeah.
there.
Why is there craters in the earth?
Right. Okay. Back on topic. Here's my question. Who is worse and who has actually improved in public speaking? Lane Kiffin or Clark Lee? Which one?
Lane Kiffin to me is the worst public speaker ever. He is the most uncomfortable person to be around, to hear talk. Him completing a sentence makes me cringe. The way he moves his head around bothers me. Like, Clark Lee's just Clark Lee. Like, he's just, he's a meathead. He's a fullback. You know what I'm saying? Like, he just comes in and he's, Johnny fullback. Lane Kiffin, the thing that bothers me about Lane is he's supposed to be charismatic. Everybody always expects him to be that because of what he does on a keyboard.
Yeah.
And yet he's this guy that's like incredibly witty and funny on a keyboard, and you get it in person and you're like, I can't tell you how many times people have said, that's Lane Kiffin. That's like, Lane Kiffin.
I think you kind of relate to this. And I say this not because I have any official information about Lane Kiffin, but I say it as someone who also, I have anxiety public speaking. I know we do this for a living. But getting up in front of a huge crowd of people.
Oh, in front of people? Forget it.
I can't stand it. And I think
even my uncle's eulogy I gave a couple of weeks ago was hard.
Well, sorry for your loss, first of all.
Thank you. But it was hard to do,
But don't you get that's the energy I get from Lane. And I've talked to a lot of his former players, like Chance Campbell played for the Titans, so I covered him and I talked to him in the locker room, and he's like, yeah, he's this really quiet, kind of shy. He's not a big front of the stage center, look at me kind of guy. And like I get like social anxiety vibes because I recognize how I feel if you were to ask me to stand up in front of 400 media members and give a speech about my program. Like
I'm with you, but he's the same way when it's just one-on-one.
I know.
I mean, we could be sitting one-on-one and he's like, he's just kind of like barely saying words.
Yeah. Which brings us to the guy who actually took the Auburn job. And it should be, I think, could end up walking out of SEC Media Days as the biggest story for good or bad reasons. I can't tell. And I'd like to know, I think he's going to win a lot of people over with a lot of really big, clever, smart sound bites where he sounds like he's Preacher Man, Baby Billy doing the whole deal down at Auburn.
Baby Billy.
I think he's going to win some people over with that. And I think what's going to happen, just like on a keyboard, we get distracted by certain storylines. I think people are distracted by the wrong things with Hugh Freeze. I think if you focus on paying players at Ole Miss, no one gives a shit. No one cares.
Anymore.
I personally don't care, and I've said this a million times about what you do in your marriage. Don't care. That's between you and your spouse. Whatever you guys want to do in this world, I don't care. It's not my business. Whatever.
Are you gonna ask him for a number? He knows. He's got a nice Rolodex in his phone. He's got a nice little ladies of the evening.
And uses DMs quite frequently.
That should be your question.
But that's the story to me is DMing a victim of an assault investigation, like and what happened in high school. Like this is to me the real story is this 25 years of creepy behavior. It's not illegal. It doesn't make him a criminal, but like it's 25 years of behavior that he still clearly hasn't changed, and is now is the most responsible and most powerful person on a college campus with thousands of women. So like I just like that to me is the real story. But I think I think it's that I don't think any of that's going to come up. I don't think we talk about that at all. And it's, somebody needs, maybe I have to be the guy that's like, hey, look,
you might be the only one who would do it and has the guts to do it. I think it's going to be all about football. It's going to be all about Auburn being a unique place. And there'll be references to Nick Saban and your history against him and beating him in the past and what's different at Auburn. It's going to be a lot of that, what it was like at Liberty.
Yep.
Blah, 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 blah. That's what we're going to get. So if you think we're going to be going into the character of Hugh Freeze, which is really interesting, I think Hugh Freeze is in the perfect part of the country because I think Hugh Freeze is certainly popular in the Southeast. I don't think Hugh Freeze would last 10 seconds in the Big Ten. You know what I mean? Like,
no,
they would look at him and chew him up and spit him out and say, nope. Like, we're not
Well, I would
We're
say
not playing that.
I would say Northeast NFL would be like, what?
No, like who is
What
this?
are you talking about?
Who is this guy?
But I think the shtick plays very well in the
It
Southeast.
plays great. I mean, you
totally
saw him
agree.
at Liberty. He
I
was
totally agree.
giving speeches, and he, yes, I was calling whores, but I fixed it.
Again, that's the stuff that's going to be talked about, but I don't care about that stuff. Like, look, should you be doing it with a recruit? Of course, that's weird. And
I want to know. I want to know the last time he called one.
Okay, well then you're going to have him face to face. You should.
I'll ask him. So forget about football.
Baby Billy, when's the last time?
Yes,
you contacted a whore. Okay,
and I'll hang up and listen.
We're such idiots.
And I'll hang up and listen.
I can't believe we've ever been accredited to anything ever in our lives.
I guarantee you. What do you answer?
No,
I really wouldn't answer. He wouldn't.
No, and frankly, I guarantee you,
What if he's like, dude, we're in Nashville like yesterday? What are you talking about? Like, this is a big, like, what kind of question is that? What if he answered that way?
Oh
that would
God.
be.
What, does Nashville have a large
I don't know,
ladies of the night scene?
I'm not sure. I live here, you live here, but
I've seen some very high end downtown ladies of the night, and those are not like 3 figures an hour kind of people. Those are 4 figures an hour kind of people.
Yeah, that's.
And again, that's something I would be
hey,
totally.
Hugh Freeze though, he gets paid a lot.
Look at me. I would be totally fine with that being legal in this country. So I don't even think it's like paying players before it was illegal. It's not amoral. It's just against the rules. I don't.
But to me, he's contradicting who he claims to be.
Well,
that's
obviously he's a hypocrite, obviously, but I don't. But nobody cares about that anymore in this country. So who cares?
No, oh hell no. They encourage it.
He's going to come out of there righteous gemstone style. It's going to be.
They're going to love it.
It's going to be.
They're going to love it. He's going to be
Baby Billy,
Mr. Nashville. Mr. Nashville.
All right. So Zach Arnett's interesting. First time, always interesting. I think if he strikes a really smart and somber tone about, a guy that you and I both knew very well and what he's had to go through and how well they've actually dealt with that situation, keeping the roster together. I think he's going to win a lot of people over with, we've kept people home. The portal didn't affect us. We are connected through this tragedy. And I actually think Zach Arnett's going to win a lot of people over next week.
Probably. Do you think he has any chance though? I don't. Like, he's come in and
I don't know.
Revamped everything, and like, I don't know if you needed to reinvent the wheel. You know what I mean? Like, just steady as she goes to me would have been, racking towards this thing, but they certainly didn't do that.
Not with Will Rogers this year. I think you could have stayed put this year.
Yes.
Eventually, maybe you need to turn it into yours, but I think for year one, you want to ride the coattails of the program foundation. It is what I would do. You do have to run the football more at some point, because I think Mike Leach, for all of his infinite wisdom and amazingness, he was just too stubborn to ever just try to run the football. But I do think Arnett was going to get a job at some point.
Do you think we'll talk about Leach a lot this year? I mean, we're certainly going to miss him at media day. I hope there's a lot of.
I hope so.
I hope Commissioner Sankey talks about him in his opening.
I think that's
remarks.
a really good prediction. I think he will, and I think everybody. I would not be surprised. How about this? I would not be surprised if every single coach, all 14, did not mention him in their opening statement.
They should. I think they should. I think it's the appropriate. Yeah. I mean, Leach was so unique, but he was so fun. I mean, I loved him. You loved him. You worked with him. I worked with him. Most unique guy I ever worked with. I mean, certainly.
Yep.
And he's missed.
Yep.
And he had a hell of a life, man. Nobody really dislikes Mike. A lot of people say he's an oddball, but nobody dislikes Mike.
He is not without flaws, like all of us,
of course.
But no, I don't think I've met a person that says
no.
He goes out of his way to treat people, especially I don't want to say like less than him, but like people in the media, young people trying to learn, trying to come up. He always was very kind and generous to people. Yeah. I do think that we are going to study. I think as time goes along, we are going to study a certain cross-section of offensive scheme that comes exclusively from Mike Leach, but that is now like the Lincoln Riley power rushing mixed with air raid offense that is going to be the best offense in college football for a long time, potentially. And I think we're going to study Mike Leach's tenure as the beginning of how the game changed on every single level. If we haven't already done that, I just think 20 years from now, we're going to look back and go, yeah, it was Mike Leach at Kentucky that changed everything. And then it built from there, and then guys made it better. And Lincoln Riley right now, I would say, is doing it the best of anybody.
Yeah, it's the root. He's the roots. I mean, he's the
right.
roots of this style of offense. And so think about that. Your legacy in college football is important. I mean, where you stand historically when you've sort of created something, it's think of anything like the person who created television. Television
Right.
got a lot better over the years, but you're the one who did it.
Yep.
So he historically, to me, he's a Hall of Famer. Absolutely Hall of Famer because of it.
I mean, you can't watch an NFL football game without seeing Mike Leach.
No, he's a Hall of Famer to me.
He's Friday night football is all Mike Leach. Saturday football is all Mike Leach, and Sunday football is all Mike Leach.
All Mike Leach.
It's really fascinating.
Tentacles are everywhere.
Yes, they are. Here's a name that may say absolutely nothing, may not get any conversation at all, may still be picked to finish like in the top 15. Josh Heupel. What are we going to hear from Tennessee next week?
Same old stuff.
Yeah.
This isn't last year. You know what he's going to say. This isn't last year. It's a nice step for our program. Put it behind us. This year's going to be tough. Virginia's going to be a challenge. I think it's Coach Speak 101. Coach Speak 101, which is fine. I think they've earned Coach Speak. I think they've earned, we were just one day at a time. I'm not the biggest Joe Milton guy. To me, he reminds me a little bit of Jeremy Johnson at Auburn. And people got really excited about him. And then he came in and just couldn't put touch on the ball. I hope I'm wrong. I hope Tennessee's really good because I think it's really fun to live in the state when they're good because it's just awesome. I feel it's just better to live here. Like the energy's cooler when Tennessee's good. You can feel it, especially when you go to like a restaurant or a bar on a Saturday during a game. But I think he's going to be pretty boring. I think it's going to be status quo from Heupel.
But I think like Pittman and Beamer, it's very genuine. I think that's just who he is. He's Coach Dad. He's Coach Dad.
Yep.
Coach Dad. Coach Dad Heupel. And I guess, Chris, Mark Stoops fits in that same category. I think he might have a little bit more of a chip on his shoulder, maybe with, I don't know, like the offensive line was so bad last year. The offense didn't live up to expectations. He's brought in a transfer, a new coordinator, brought in a lot of transfers in offense. He's going to develop the defense. They're kind of getting underlooked. I think they're going to be an underrated pick. I think they're going to be better than people think. We haven't talked about Eli Drinkowitz either, so I guess I should mention him because he's probably one of the few guys that comes in under a little bit of pressure. Yeah. So Mark Stoops, who can be funny when you get him one-on-one, but is sort of largely Coach Speak robot guy at the podium. And Eli Drinkowitz, of course, is he comes off as like a geometry teacher in high school or something.
He's fun though. Drink's fun. I mean, Drink's just kind of there. Missouri, it's like Missouri. Missouri just kind of exists and they don't really do anything special, but they're there and we have fun with Drink and we talk to him and it's all good. I think Stoops has a lot to prove. Last year there was so much hype going into the preseason. Will Levis was getting so many accolades. Everybody was talking about he could go number 1 in the draft and all this kind of crap. And they didn't live up to it. Now, the offensive line didn't do him any favors. I kind of think this year, them being under the radar, they're going to be a lot better. I think they're really good at quarterback. I think Devin Leary's pretty damn good. And nobody's going to expect anything from them. So he can come in and just, we got a good team that's working every day. He's been here a long time. It's the same interview every year. I mean, he knows how to wrap it all up in a beautiful bow and talk, wax poetic about Kentucky and, espouse all the great virtues there. But, he'll never get too deep in the weeds. You can ask him about like the John Calipari stuff and he would never get too deep in the weeds there.
He's got a very he's got a very Iowa sense of humor. When you get him off the record, he's actually funny and dry. But when you're on the record, he's like, I'd
whatever. Love for him to off the record really talk about John Calipari because I don't think he likes him at all.
Well, he gets whatever.
There's a real disgust there.
We talked about this 2 weeks ago on the show. He gets whatever he wants from Mitch Barnhart, and Mitch Barnhart and John Calipari do not speak.
Yeah.
So there
which
you
is
go.
such a weird.
That's all you need to know.
And for Calipari, not that we're talking basketball, like he doesn't win that much, so that's not good.
Not the last 3 years. He's under a lot of pressure.
That's
Eli,
not a good relationship.
I agree with Eli. I wonder if he'll say something interesting about the collective, because Missouri's collective's kind of turned up a little bit. I'm curious about, and then last but not least here, Napier at Florida is interesting because I think the recruiting success in the last few weeks might have changed his demeanor. He kind of came in, I think, feeling things out last year. Really interesting story about his, I think it was the passing of his father, I think, that he talked about very openly. So I think he kind of came in across very genuine. I think he is very genuine, but he's a slow build kind of guy. And I think the recruiting success off of his big picture Dabo-ish type of plan for Florida, infrastructure build out, whatever, I think he's going to have a little bit of confidence in like trust the process kind of message, like trust the process, trust the process, trust the process,
until he gets beat by 21 points by Utah week 1, and then the process goes out the window. He'll come in there, he'll say all the right things. I don't know if any of us are going to buy it. I don't know if any of us are going to look there and say you lost the number 4 pick in the draft and all of a sudden you're going to be better. To me, this is a waste of time. I think they should have kept Dan Mullen. Like, I look at a guy who's got 500 people on his coaching staff. Like, Dan Mullen, to me, if you just like had a good collective,
the reason
and had your had your boosters do the recruiting, just let Mullen coach.
I mean, I think Mullen is a vastly underrated X's and O's coach.
Good coach.
I think he's a terrible CEO of a program like Florida. I think it works at Mississippi State. I do think I'm far more bullish on Billy Napier. I don't think they're going to be good this year, but I don't think they should be good this year because Dan Mullen left them with a big, giant, steaming pile of garbage. So
fair too.
We'll see what happens. All right,
fair too.
Officiating's been a problem in this conference for a couple years. Do we expect any sort of conversation from Sankey, from the head of officials, to adjust?
Yeah, we'll talk about it, and I don't think Sankey shies away from things like that. Like, if you ask him about it, he will address it, and he will address some specific instances. And I think he'll address what he's done to address it. Right. So, and we always get the director officials available. We'll always, and that's what I like about the SEC, but transparent. They have the person who's there in Birmingham, that's in the headquarters, doing all the stuff when it comes to replay and all that. We're going to talk a lot about it. Certainly you brought it up. It's an issue. And I don't think Sankey's going to run away from that kind of stuff. I think he's got a mission, and if there's a problem, he'll address it. And I think he will.
I think that's true, but I don't know what. I'll be curious what the action. I agree with you for first and foremost, but I'm curious what the actionable items are.
I don't know.
Like you're not going to allow officials to be available to the media. That's never going to happen.
No.
But they're all. We know that they're all graded on like every penalty, type of penalty. Like they're all graded on holding calls. They're all. I'd
like to know
the
grades.
I'd like to know the grades. Like there's got to be a way to make it a little bit more understandable, while saying, "Hey, we need to do a better." Like I think you're right. He's gonna be like, "We've got to be better. We're gonna do better. Here's what we've tried to do." I just am curious if any of that stuff is going to be visible to the media.
They do that. You and I need to start a business where we just cover officials.
I would love to do
that. We have official rankings. We have the whole God, imagine how cool that would be.
Zebras.
That would be a whole nother like little niche sub level of like that would be amazing. Maybe make like $20 a month off of weirdos.
No. Here's how we do it. It's private, and we sell it to conferences and to leagues.
Yes.
We grade all the we have metrics that grade all the officials and everything.
We know they like to waste money on dumb stuff. So that would be great. Yes.
Yeah, there you go. Last but not least, and I'll let you go, man, of course. I just want to always finish every conversation about media days with the only thing that really matters is how spectacular the young people are. They are truly, truly amazing. Cedric Van Pran's going to be there and is one of the most incredible young people I've ever talked to. There's going to be so many other ones there that are just phenomenal, interesting, business savvy, communications, leadership, psychology, you name it. They are interesting, dynamic, and successful people, and way more than just football players. And I think that's really, truly the best part of SEC Media Days.
It is. best part last year was watching all the players walk in with cool clothes. Like they had really expensive stuff on. They were wearing like Louis Vuitton and
Oh yeah,
Burberry and Gucci and like stuff that 5 years ago there was none of those dudes walking in. I mean, they had like Walmart suits and stuff. Like they came in.
None of them fit right either.
Yeah, they always look sloppy, and like these guys came in looking slick last year.
Well, it's because I mean, Will Anderson last year was like, yeah, I launched a business to help kids manage NIL. I'm like, that's awesome. Way to go, Will Anderson.
It's amazing. Love Will Anderson.
No, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Obviously here in Nashville, I'll see you around. We'll have a lot of content for you guys. Obviously, you can catch Childers at Childers Radio on the Twitter machine. You can catch him all over SiriusXM
and Threads.
The
new Threads.
You're doing Threads too. God damn.
I am so anti Elon Musk. I am absolutely doing Threads. Yeah, but I think I'm going to delete Twitter.
But I'm not pro Zuck though, dude. That's private. That's
I'm
even
not
more
pro
privacy.
him, but I hate Elon Musk so much.
How about this? We'll start a Discord channel.
Let's do it.
We'll have a Discord channel.
Let's do our own social media.
Well, by the time we're done with this conversation, a new platform will have launched. So you can get to me on Post, Mastodon, Truth Social, Blue Sky. You can get me on Threads, Instagram, TikTok. Actually, no.
Are all those things real? You just said?
Those are all real social platforms.
Really?
And none of them have taken down Twitter. So I'm still
taking down Twitter.
I'm still
Threads
on Twitter.
Is doing it.
I'm still on Twitter.
Threads is doing it.
I'm not. I do not.
I miss my check mark, kind of.
I can't do Instagram. Can't do it.
I miss my check mark.
Can't do it. Can't do it. I'm old.
I want my check mark.
Thank you guys for listening. Go check out Chowders all over Space Radio, and of course Threads apparently as well. All right, we got a lot of cool stuff planned for you for next week. So rate, review, subscribe, share the show, YouTube. You know the whole deal. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks, Chowders, man. Always appreciate you, dude. Have some good time off, and we'll see you next week. Otherwise, thanks for listening. This has been Fringe Element here on the 440 Sports Network.
Roll Tide.